Time for us to start at 2:45. I want to welcome you to this session as we get started with the panel. And this is Service Learning Online Communities and Student-Centric Video Applications. So we're going to take a little twist here. Miguel Ramlachin, Rick Lovelace, Dwayne Smith are the panelists. And the overview of this session is video and web conferencing are very effective ways to build and support online communities. This panel explores tools the university is using now to redefine these online learning communities and the ways students can easily contribute, share, and engage with multimedia. Students now have devices capable of creating high-definition video presentations, web conferences, and projects. This panel discusses new, innovative applications of web conferencing and video engagement to support service learning. And by the way, I was just writing a faculty about how she could use WebEx, so take it away.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Susan, for that introduction. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your days to come out and join us and learn about our technology applications and ways we can use technology to build our service learning environments. All right, thank you, Susan, again for introducing us. This is our email addresses. So. Also, this event is actually being streamed and recorded as well, so don't worry about taking notes because all this will be available in the archive. Okay, so we've talked about how in earlier presentations how service learning is new for ODU, and so it was new for us as well in ITS and in distance learning. In fact, we didn't start really learning about service learning until 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it's that new. But the way we understand it, service learning is the outreach of what is typically our online environment, our online classroom environment, as well as our traditional campus and classroom environment out into the community. So looking at the needs of the community and looking at our students and building authentic learning environments for our students as well as for meeting the needs of our community as well. All right, so what we learned about the 3 main components of service learning is that academic engagement piece. So this is where the events and activities and projects that are happening out at the community tie back to those classroom and syllabus and programmatic curriculum-based aspects of the course. Also, the critical reflection piece. This is where students are taking a look at their projects and self-analyzing, looking at lessons learned from their projects, looking at what they can have done better in that authentic learning environment, and again, reflecting on the experience. And then the piece where the technology component that we think we can really bring to the table as faculty are developing their service learning courses and curriculums and integrating service learning into new programs or existing courses is that relationship building piece. All right, so relationship building piece and extending that to e-service learning. So as Emily was describing to us in distance learning, the e-service learning component is technically where one aspect of the course, either the actual academic piece or the actual service community piece, is happening online. For us, that was really familiar in that this is a lot of what we're doing already. However, what we're doing has been historically ODU-centric, so academic program-centric. And so this is reaching out beyond that and into the community. So as we reach out beyond what we've been doing so far into the community and building that e-service aspect, some resources that we can bring to these initiatives is the engagement with audio and video. So this is something we've been doing for quite some time with our classroom-based systems as well as our online and distance learning-based systems, and something that again, we can bring to the table as far as helping faculty reach out to the community. We'll talk a lot about the technology here as well. One example is the ability to stream this live, and so we're streaming it live onto the internet now for folks who can't make it into the room, and we're also archiving this so that later on this evening there'll be thumbnails of each session that are available for those who've missed the live sessions. All right. So the synchronous components, we've been web conferencing and video conferencing for a while, and so those resources are available, as well as the asynchronous, anytime, anywhere, on demand aspects. So the recording and building of asynchronous engaging video. A new component for us is the instructor creation and student creation of video. And this is something that we'll talk about here as well, where students and faculty are building projects, especially on the student aspect, group projects, and uploading those to enterprise locations that we'll talk about. And then the active learning component. So this is building on the collaboration, the web conferencing, the resource sharing, the information sharing, and again, going back to group projects, so making those more easy to implement than ever before. We'll talk about some of the enterprise solutions that ODU has invested in. What this means is that there's support for faculty where faculty don't have to provide their own and be the technical support for these courses and for these students, because we can leverage the resources that we have in distance learning and in ITS and in the help desk. And again, building back to the support aspects. So we've got partnering with CLLT, the infrastructure to build workshops and institutes like these, as well as the seminars that we do in between the semester and during the semester. So training and support aspects for faculty, and then the real-time technical and help desk support for our students as well. Something we already have in place for our classrooms and our online programs that we can leverage for e-service learning initiatives. Okay. So I brought two experts with me who will help us understand more about the resources that are available here at ODU and thus available to you and your programs. So the first question I wanted to bounce off of them was the technology component. So what technologies do you think are available that we can leverage for these e-service learning initiatives?
Yeah, thank you. And my name's Rick Lovelace. I've been working with ATS and Miguel and other folks for about 20 years on a lot of the distance learning and getting out to the students remote to the university. And it's starting to get really exciting as the technology is starting to evolve and become more pervasive. You can get it on a phone. A lot of it's web-based. Where in the past when we started, right, it was all satellite type technology for the audio and video, and you had to have specialized equipment in certain places. And then we moved on to also including video conferencing. We added that into the mix, which made it a little bit more available, a little bit easier to get to, and then video streaming. We added that to which now made it accessible to anyone on the internet. And now some of the new stuff that we have coming on that we're seeing coming more into the education and market is stuff like WebEx, for doing conferencing, which they've been doing for businesses for a while. I know some of you probably use Adobe Connect and some of those types of resources. And again, these things are just, to me, it's just exciting. In my industry that I've been dealing with, they've been talking for a while, about how video is the new voice, right? And you're really starting to see that come where it is available to anybody. We've actually at the university, have signed an agreement where, WebEx is available to all faculty, staff, and students. Anyone can get an account and can host and hold their own meetings. So now it gets into where, especially for distance students, where they can, create their, have their own discussions, right, and work on projects and so forth. And so it's kind of exciting from our standpoint on how to bring everyone closer together and so forth.
And leading on to that, one of the aspects of a resource that we're looking into is the fact that all three of us are working together on this. I'm working more from the classroom standard, the classroom central standard, traditional classrooms, integrating and working closely with distance learning moving forward. And we know we need Rick's infrastructure to tie it all together. So I would like to point that out, that we understand that all three of us need to come together and work as a team moving forward and making sure we have the resources in place. And we're all providing very similar, if not the same, resources to our faculty and students. The last thing we want to do is say, okay, if you're in a traditional classroom, you have to learn how to do it this way. If you're in distance learning, you need to learn how to do it this way. And if you're in neither, you're on your own. So we quickly understand the need there, that not everybody fits in these molds that we have put in place in the past, the history of Old Dominion University. But no, looking forward, that we need to make sure that whatever service we provide, whatever we do or we offer the faculty and students, that we meet the needs across the board, and we provide the same level of service, the same level of support across the board as well. One of the examples of that is distance learning and ITS went jointly to look for a video management solution. So we can take all these videos that we're recording over distance learning, over Classroom Central, starting to get into that, where we can record what's going on in the classroom and provide it to the students afterwards. And we wanted to have I won't say a one-stop shop, but one platform managing all this. So if you're a student, you don't have to go to a separate website to find this video. You can go to one spot, and the videos for distance learning are there, the videos for the traditional classrooms are there as well. So I think it's important to point out that we're moving forward as one unit together, trying to focus and provide similar services across the board.
Yeah, that's a really good, important piece. So the intent was, if we were recording a video, there isn't one interface for a Norfolk-based classroom student, one interface that they have to learn, and then yet another interface that they have to learn if they take an online class. So it's one interface, and we're also looking forward to portal integration as well. And then what we're doing with our WebEx host accounts on the distance learning end is tying those to our telepresence systems. So these are the high-definition video conferencing systems that replaced the previous satellite system a year or two ago. This way, using our classroom-based systems, the instructors can still benefit from operational help in the back of the room, not having to worry about what level my microphone is and help with the PowerPoint slides or whatever. We're able to provide that help in distance learning, and the faculty just has to worry about the pedagogy and the presentation and the dialogue piece. So tying the classroom environment to the WebEx environment. So now any one of us with any one of our phones or tablets or notebooks can conference in and have a similar experience as the students actually in the classroom with the instructor. All right. So my next question for you, we talked about the technology piece, and we talked about the web conferencing and video creation and archival, but the support aspects. So what support aspects that ODU already has and have been applying to classrooms and online courses that could be made available to e-service learning initiatives?
I guess I'll jump in first. Well, with Classroom Central Traditional Team, we have our ITS help desk, which is kind of what we call the first line of defense. And any problems in the classrooms, any problems the student or faculty have, they go to the help desk. And from there, they would engage our Classroom Central support team, which we have about 5 full-time and a half dozen students who actually go on site, and we support everything happening in the classrooms. And we're working with departments to support department labs as well. We understand just the need is working with distance learning, but also working with the departments and making sure that the technology that we're doing in the classrooms can align what's going on in the departments. So we have that full circle on leveraging on what's going on in distance learning, traditional classrooms and helping out with the departmental labs as well. And you'll see that from our standpoint is there's a phone now in every classroom. You pick up that phone and direct dials to the ITS help desk, which then will dispatch the appropriate resource to help you out.
Rick, what are your thoughts? Support available for faculty.
Yeah, so again, like you said, we are leveraging a lot of what, ITS already had in place. We know we have some extra staff for support with the WebEx. We're even looking at, different ways of actually getting out with the support for PCs. Part of what some of the WebEx allows us to do is actually provide support for the distance students in their computers and so forth. So.
Okay. And I know from the distance learning perspective, Rick, with the networking and infrastructure and the collaborative technologies pieces is especially beneficial to what we're doing. And so how distance learning supports faculty. Mentioned already the partnership with CLLT and the workshops that we do throughout the summer. We've got some more workshops lined up, I believe next week. So WebEx for small groups and virtual office hours. We'll have more of those throughout the summer as well. And then the real-time operational support for faculty or presenters. So this alleviates faculty from having to be both faculty and technical support for students at the same time, where we can provide those services to instructors. Okay. So support aspects. This is a question we often get, at least in distance learning, building on sort of the IT definition of enterprise. So an enterprise solution that ODU has invested in and has all the support behind, how is that different from a lot of what students have been doing before we implemented some of these technologies?
Yeah, really, like you said, from an IT standpoint, when we talk about an enterprise solution, it's one where we do have some more visibility, into the solution. We have, some, a little bit more control over what's happening, which allows us to provide, more stable support in a lot of cases. It's, with a lot of the free and the consumer stuff. It's kind of, you get what you get, and if it's great stuff, right? The Skype and the YouTube, obviously these are things that have changed the way, we do a lot of things. And they're starting to see these, though, come into and bring these into more of, like I said, enterprise solutions that we can better maintain and give more of a standard look and feel, over a longer period of time.
Good. No, you did a great job. I was just looking at this, and we always get the YouTube and the Skype, and why do we need to get our own video management service if we have YouTube out there and it's free? And YouTube is, like Rick was saying, a great tool, but it is ad driven. So the last thing we want to do is put a video up there that's ODU branded, and then we have a pharmaceutical drug ad go right in the middle of it. So those are the type of controls that we lose, and if there is a problem with those type of consumer-based services, we have no one we can call. There's no direct support line. We lose complete control of the environment that we're producing to our students and our faculty and staff. So that's why we feel it's important that we leverage these with enterprise solutions, and that we want to make sure we can control the look, the feel. And as the university needs change, we can actually have that product change with the university. And that's what we find is very important, to not just send everybody to YouTube and to say we're done for the day. Because YouTube doesn't integrate well with our LMS system. There might be a couple plugins there, but the idea is as a faculty member, you want to manage your LMS for the class. You want to go in Blackboard. You want to go in there and say, okay, look at these videos, and make sure that the videos are appropriate for the class. And when like in YouTube, when you're done watching a video, you get an example of other videos that might be similar. So the last thing we want to do is point them to another institution. And so you get to understand why we really want to make sure we control the full aspect of this. And some of the stuff that we're working with on, like for example, Kaltura is what we're using for our video management solution. And seeing what distance learning is starting to do with that is just mind-boggling on how far they've taken that. And it's something that YouTube, we could never imagine if we stuck with something like YouTube or one of the other services out there. I don't know if you want to touch on some of that now. But it's just to show that we can grow that with ODU. We can leverage some of those tools and maybe even some of the third-party tools where we're looking at trying to leverage some of WebEx with our video management system. So all that ties together. We're also working with the College of Sciences. They have some classes that have high DFWI rates. And we're seeing are some of these services that we're providing to the students helping offset some of those failure rates or incompletion of the class. And we've been doing this for 2 years now, and we're starting to see the trend that the students that are using these resources fare to do a little bit better. And we have some more of that data that I love to talk about offline, but these are type of things we can do now with enterprise solutions. And we can make sure, are these being used? How can we improve this moving forward? And we can get feedback from the faculty, from the students, and prepare for that next step with the technology.
Yeah, building on what you just said, the research component, the data gathering component. Yeah, of course, further research is needed, but we do appear to be seeing a positive correlation between students who go back and review the video for something they missed, or they missed the class, or reviewing for an exam. And the drop in withdrawal and incomplete and failure rates. Now, we're not necessarily tracking grades, but as long as the student makes it through, that's our goal. So we're seeing similar numbers also in the research that we're doing.
What I'd like to add is it's neat to watch the habits of the students. We won't see them go back and watch the video, especially if they sat through class and go back and watch. They'll watch the video in like 5-minute segments. And we're offering some of this to the faculty so they can see what 5 minutes they're watching. We even had one engineering professor jump in and say, okay, I see everyone's concentrating on this one problem we talked about in class. So he did an ad hoc video at home and went through that problem in detail. It almost made, I think, about a 15-minute video of a problem that he maybe talked about a minute in class and got more detail to the students. And this was in between class sessions, so he didn't have to wait to take out more class time at the next setting to talk about this one problem that everyone's having. He was able to utilize the technology and level of technology to save some time in class and let the students prepare for an upcoming, I think there was an upcoming exam they were preparing for.
Yeah, we're seeing the same trend as well. So it isn't the students are sitting down and watching entire 3-hour classes. They're watching, instead of large chunks, lots of smaller chunks of video. So that was an interesting use case for us. As far as the enterprise stuff goes, we've got I added Skype specifically to the list here, and we'll support any idea that you or any of our faculty have. But with some of these consumer and some of these free software, as the folks here mentioned, there's a point where we can't help anymore because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes at the .com. So if the instructor unfortunately forgets their Skype login, that's unfortunately not anything that we're going to be able to do, and so that guest isn't going to be able to log in and talk to the class. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is security and intellectual property rights. So because we own the service and servers and on all the backups, our systems are built off of the Midas authentication. So students have to be registered in that course before they get access to the video. It just provides a level of security and and protection for our faculty's content.
That's a very good point.
All right. So some examples. You mentioned some of it with the work that the two of you are doing with some of the classes. But what specific examples have you seen, especially the e-service learning component, where the faculty are using either new or emerging technology to make that extension out to the community?
So yeah, we actually had one of the professors that in the foreign language department that actually brought in, I think it was a Japanese class, and actually brought in, someone from Japan as part of the class, as a guest speaker in the class to go over some of the content and talk with the students, which I thought was kind of interesting. But you can start to see more with some of these, the video conferencing type solutions. Again, like I said, being able to bring folks in from distant places, you're really, you're not restricted by location anymore.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of that in the classrooms with guest speakers and whatnot. Actually, it's becoming more and more common. And what's nice about this is you could have a guest speaker every class if you wanted to, and we could help facilitate that using WebEx. Actually reaching out to the community itself, I'm trying to think, I don't know if we actually, we're more driven in the academic setting and working with the academic classes and the registered students. The first thing that jumps in my mind is what we're doing with the College of Continuing Education out at Tri-Cities. I don't know if that would be a good example.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've teamed up with Newport News Shipbuilding, is that correct? And offering some resources to the Newport News Shipbuilding. And we've leveraged some of our classrooms out there, and we've actually teamed up with Distance Learning to offer some resources in our computer labs out at Tri-Cities. So they can come in, they can utilize those machines, work with the faculty members there, and if they're not available to come in, we can leverage this through like WebEx and the Distance Learning environment, so they can participate from there.
Okay, yeah, great example. So service learning is new at ODU, so may not have any specific e-service examples. In distance learning, we have a few. So especially on the IDT side, the instructional design and technology, the graduate programs. Last summer, Dr. Joe Stefaniak did a service learning built around needs analysis. So this was needs analysis working with Dr. Emily Edens, analyzing the needs of the student leadership and engagement process here at the university, especially building on ways to build that outreach and e-service component. This summer, the extension of that, IDT 775, is online course design. So what we're going to do, I'm actually enrolled in that course, but essentially what we're doing is building a faculty forum. The theme of the faculty forum is best practices in online service learning, and so what we're building is it'll have a Blackboard presence. It'll be a repository where you can post resources, and then also working with some of the instructional design students, posting of training modules onto that faculty forum. So looking forward to aspects of that as well. Don't have all the details on that. The semester just started this week, literally. But tomorrow, this time in this same room, Dr. Stefaniak and Dr. Madrill are presenting Designing Authentic Service Learning Experiences, Promoting Real-World Applications in the Classroom. And so please take a look at that for tomorrow afternoon. I'm interested in learning about that myself. So some of our examples are relatively new and emerging, so really looking forward to any ideas that you may have. All right, and on that topic, we've got some CLT folks in the room who are helping us out with the handheld microphones, and so we're curious to hear what applications and what ideas do you have that we can help evolve into solutions?
Yeah, we're technologists, so we can get the technology aspect, and like Rick's saying, that's what was exciting to us. But we need ideas from you or suggestions from you, or yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I went to the thing in there for WebEx, and I was talking about the WebEx for teaching at Garnto, and then the individual account for faculty. And I was wondering, I haven't looked at the individual one for faculty yet, but I was wondering, is there a way for faculty to post MP4, like through Snagit or something like that, videos that they do to their WebEx personal accounts?
Posting MP4s, I mean,
Yeah, so the idea with WebEx, so if you have a community online you want to connect to, you can connect live through WebEx. And what, up to 1,000 people?
yeah, actually up to 1,000.
And you can share your screen, so anything you see, they would see. So it's almost like presenting in a virtual community. Now, if you want to store your video, if that's what you're looking to, is to send the video up to LMS and store it so they can play it back at their leisure, then yes, we can engage the product we talked about called Kaltura. We can show you how to leverage that. It's in Blackboard under My Media, and we give you some more resources. I'm not sure if you're trying to do it through WebEx, then definitely whatever you play on your computer on WebEx goes to everybody else. And there's also a file sharing capability in there as well.
Yeah, it's, and I'm trying to make sure I understand. You said you want to put up an MP4 file you already have?
Right, or the WebEx thing that I record that I want to be archived for later can also be, I link that manually to my Blackboard account, or?
So yeah, so right now, right, the WebEx, you can record all your sessions. It actually creates a link when you're done, and you can take and put that in Blackboard. Now we're also been working on and looking at being able to actually take that video live and get it into Kaltura now again, so that it's tied into the other video that we have, for other types of classes, whether it's a class over in Gornto or using one of the mediated classrooms.
Or like I use Google Sites, so that I could take that URL and hyperlink it into my Google Sites.
You can take the URL and actually post it anywhere or email it out.
Interesting.
And it gets stored, right at this moment we store it in, it stays in the cloud with WebEx. But like I said, we're looking to move that out. So.
Hi, I'm Vukitsa Ivanovic from Engineering Technology. I heard somewhere that we can use YouTube video with our Midas account. Can we do that? The reason I'm asking, I created multiple videos, and I use my own personal Gmail account to upload these videos there. So sometimes I like some video, and then whoever is using my channel is subscribed to that channel. They can see what I liked, which I don't know. I heard, is that an option, or?
I have not heard, maybe you had that where we've linked
So
it to
someone
YouTube,
said
but
we can create like institution account or what?
Let's get together afterwards. I know we have linked some Google services to our Midas accounts. I am not sure if YouTube is one of those services. The student accounts, yes. I don't want to tell you wrong, so I actually want to try it, but I don't want to do it up here on stage. But I do know we have linked your Midas to some of the Google services. I would give you another suggestion too. If these are class related, so if you want to take these videos and incorporate it inside of your LMS, are you using Blackboard? What are you? So we could help you with tying that together with Blackboard, using some of the services that ODU is providing. If you're set on YouTube and you want to use YouTube, we could work with you on that as well.
I mean, I have them, I upload them in Blackboard, and they have much better resolution as the one I have on YouTube, but sometimes they're just lazy to log into Blackboard.
Oh, the students are? Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen them using YouTube more than they log into Blackboard, but Blackboard has better resolution.
Yeah, one of the things
No,
we want to make sure is, like Miguel was mentioning earlier, is registered students. So anyone registered for your class, everything in Blackboard they see. If they drop your class or leave, we want to make sure that their access to the material has been prevented as well. If you put it on YouTube, it's very hard to control who sees it and who doesn't. And YouTube is a great thing. I know I'm on it. My kids run it all day long. And we're not saying it's a bad service. We're worried that putting a lot of our content up there with unknown on who actually owns it once you've distributed it through YouTube, and that we want to protect you and your content as well. So we have some resources available, and we can also work if you want to give students access that aren't onto the class to make it a little easier for them. We can. I'm sure between the three of us, we can figure that out.
Yeah, because I know, I'm not sure, but faculty staff also can get the accounts, right, with the Google services.
I thought they could. I just didn't want to say it was because I
so,
wasn't sure.
Yeah, we all have access to accounts there as well. It's just the difference is the email piece is turned off. So
That's the main issue, because YouTube asks you for email, and I have to use my non-ODU one. But if you have any other solution, like we have 20 videos we did as a part of Innovator Grant, so I would like to have them available for other professors who are teaching the course, because we have 5 sessions, 30 students in each, and most of them are taught by adjuncts. So we are not even teaching this course anymore. So it will be perfect if you can have something ODU internal.
Sure, and that is a very good example. One of the things that we can do with using our video management system with Blackboard is you can set videos that you've uploaded to allow other faculty to use. So we can definitely help with that, and we can guide you on to what we're doing here at ODU, and probably have a little bit better outcome than what you're using with YouTube. So we'll definitely get together and help you out. Great questions.
Absolutely. Dwayne, you mentioned the new College of Continuing Ed and Professional Development. One project that we're doing with them is a project management professional certification project. And so what we're doing is the faculty member is creating the video. We're doing some minor editing to it and uploading that video. And we're uploading to a launch page that requires that Midas authentication. So a student logs in that they've actually registered, and all of those videos are available via thumbnails. And so the instructor can take that entire launch page and link that entire launch page from Blackboard and build it around the syllabus and other Blackboard resources. Or they can use it as a standalone page if they're not using Blackboard for that aspect of the course. But essentially, we can be flexible to a lot of different use cases where that video doesn't have to be wide open for the public.
If I may add something to the discussion, I see your colleagues, Linda, here from the library, and we've put together the copyright, copy wrong web page, and hope you all were familiar with that. And when you start looking video, one of the things we've discovered with WebEx is that if you're trying to play a video, so many times faculty have tried to play a video off of Netflix. WebEx detects the copyright protection, shuts it down. And so, if you're trying to use something that has copyright protection, you need to work on that and find another source. So, you all want to add anything to that? There's a microphone right there.
No.
I'll add on to that. We run into that a lot nowadays. Digital copyright protection is a big deal, and
Blu-rays and DVDs.
Yes, and higher education sometimes it's a roadblock. It's one of those where I just want to pull up a video and show it to my class, and my class happens to be in a different location, so I've got to stream it out. And so one of the criteria on being copyright protection, if you can't change the medium in which it's being distributed, and that's exactly what the roadblock you hit when you're trying to do this through WebEx, is we're changing that content, redistributing it through a different medium, which violates the copyright protection. So we're seeing that even in the traditional classrooms. I'm sure you guys are seeing that in distance learning as well.
and I will add something, that, the library can get copies that you can use, that will allow you, the copyright will allow you to show it in class.
Wonderful.
So-
We'll send everyone your way for the fix.
Yeah, no, not me. Yeah, so there are other alternatives to
Well, that's good.
Netflix and free.
Good, right up front here.
Yeah, as the microphone is traveling, one thing we ran into is when we had a faculty who actually tried to apply for the copyright and the permission to use the video, and was denied by the copyright owner. So we're actually taking it a step further and essentially creating a new version of that video. It was an older video created like in the 80s or 90s, so using today's high definition technology, the video is going to come out better. I'm going to butcher the technology, but it's the use of that instrument when you're giving eye exams. So we're making producing a new video that shows that instructional component.
So I'm actually not from Old Dominion, but I'm very happy to be at this conference. And I have a question. I'm looking to do a type of reflection session online with students from different, checking in on their own computers. Is there a way, I know you have the conference call setting, but is there a way for them to pair it off and then come back to the larger group?
So WebEx, there is a way to do that. There's multiple, I don't know if it's called, but versions of WebEx, and that's actually in one that they call their training center. And at ODU, we have access to all of that. Right now, we've basically rolled out the standard meeting center product, but they do have in that version the breakouts. And Adobe Connect, also another product that allows you to do the breakout rooms and do some of that as well. So.
All right, welcome to ODU. We appreciate you coming by to hang out with us.
Glad to have you.
These next 2 days. So Adobe Connect has a real good feature in it where you can do the breakout sessions. Typically, there's 4 flavors of WebEx. Rick mentioned we typically use the meeting space flavor, and that's what we tie back to our telepresence systems. And so what we've done and what we've been successful doing is creating different conferences for each work group, and essentially creating those ahead of time, so that if we know the instructor wants to call it work group A, B, or C, or wants to give it specific domain-specific names. For instance, we had a class where the students were working on book chapters, so each chapter of the book had its own work group in WebEx, and so we've done it that way as well.
Interesting, great.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, I have a question, if we have time. We're going to go time, right? How many faculty have used Skype or any other means of video to bring in a guest speaker? If we just get a show of hands, I'd like to. So up front here, if you don't mind, can we get the mic up front? Do you mind telling us what you used that? Did you use Skype and?
I teach history at Eastern Shore Community College, but I also work for ODU on distance learning for the ESCC campus. And usually I use Skype to bring in different authors, or if I'm teaching government for a certain section. The last person I brought in was the governor of Virginia. So I like to bring in different guests of that nature doing Skype. Another one that I like to use is Google Hangouts.
Well.
And Google Hangouts, I like that better than Skype because it allows me to bring up to 10 people in now.
Yeah.
So
if I could ask, how effective was that, having that technology, just the technology to have a guest speaker remote in, effective in the class?
very effective because they get to see another perspective, not just from what they read in the text or a one-sided interview. So
Sure.
it's a conversation back and forth.
So they were definitely, the speakers able to take questions from the
Yes.
students there and interact with them really well.
Yes.
That's great. Now, if you didn't have these type of that technology and you had to bring the speaker in, do you think you would have still been able to achieve that, especially with the governor and those type of things?
Due to travel constraint, probably
Probably
not. The last person I had, who was actually come into the class to physical, he's state legislator now, but he was delegate, Linwood Lewis, so.
Okay,
It depends on where they are in time, but for
Sure.
time and for, travel constraint of where people have to be, it was very useful to have, that source of Google Hangouts. I have done some stuff through my ODU account for Web Connect, so it's been very useful.
great.
So you say you used WebEx?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what do you think between you said you used obviously the 3 different products there, which are probably 3 of the primary ones,
Usually I go into the meeting room.
right?
And then another thing that I've used, basically for writing papers is sharing desktops. That's my main use for it.
Great.
You had another use case, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
I teach Japanese, and I was using the Skype during the semester. And once in a while we have a sound problem, especially if I connect to another school setting.
Sure.
Yes. So then, I think CLLT introduced WebEx.
Awesome.
And finally, end of the semester, I could manage to use WebEx and automatically recording. It sounds so good. I can just send to another teacher all the recording and nice sound. So
Oh, great. It's a win for you, right?
yeah, video too, including video too. Yes.
Well, good. So you liked using the WebEx over the
Yes.
Skype?
So now I have a summer course and already decided to use that. I have 10 volunteers in Japan. They work with my student during the
Great.
class.
Yeah,
Appreciate that use case. Yeah, and sorry, I don't mean to step on you. We're not advocating the use of one technology over the other.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of very successful online programs built around Adobe Connect, and if Skype and Google Hangouts is working for you, that's excellent as well. With WebEx, one of the advantages of WebEx is the integrated telephone conferencing feature, so that if a student is running into a iffy wireless connection at the airport or Starbucks or wherever they are, they can call in with their cell phone and get the same audio. This way their device isn't having to process both video and audio. It can focus on video, and then audio is coming via the phone line. So that's one aspect of this. What was it, the phone line that you used, or just the WebEx audio features?
This is just WebEx audio, I think, right now for this.
Yeah. Audio and video both.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've been working on, because especially with a lot of the PC-based systems, has been the audio. It can be troublesome at best with a lot of the different applications. And so one of the things we've been working on is looking at some different technologies to help improve that. They've actually got now these little desktop type speaker phones that work real well versus your regular mic and your speakers that don't do a really good job at processing a lot of two-way audio, especially headsets work well. That always clears a lot of that up. But some of these other devices that actually process the audio, because obviously still the audio is obviously a very important piece of what's going on. The video really supplements that, and so.
Now, I know, Dwayne, you've done this in conference rooms, but we've had success at some of our distance learning locations, especially the small learning pod type arrangements, where instead of a large classroom, it's a 8-foot or so conference room table. It is taking that USB extension, it's taking a USB extended microphone. So it looks like a very small speaker phone, and then that sits in the center of the conference room table, and then that's connected USB to the PC or Mac that's sitting on the other end of the room, where if the microphone were at the other end of the room, it wouldn't get audio very well. But with that extension and the speakerphone extension sitting on the table, that's worked well for us as well.
Yeah, when we evaluate these systems, we actually run them through the ringer. That's when we look at Skype and Google Hangouts, and we say, all right, what is missing? Where can we go from here? And that's when we led into WebEx, because it looked to fit the need and the quality, and moving forward, that's what we wanted to provide. And we realized that the speakers and the microphones and the computers and these type of devices, that's not why they're selling these, because they have a high-end microphone or anything of that nature. So if you want to do a guest speaker in any of your classes, reach out to Classroom Central. We have some really nice microphones that we will deliver and set up for your class to make sure that interaction with that guest speaker it works really well, and we provide the best audio situation we can.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I've got a new request for a room at the education building that
Oh,
I
yeah?
need to talk to you about.
Great. No, we love to help. These are type of initiatives, and we want to support and we want to help. We want to be a resource for the faculty, and any way we can, please let us know. Even if there's ideas we haven't thought of, we want to hear from you. We have another question right back there.
Okay, great.
So I think I mentioned before that I use Google Sites, and what I'll do is I'll have my syllabus on a Google Documents, and so because it's a live document, during my office hours, I'll have the chat open.
Great.
And so, I can chat with as many or as few students that want to chat at the same time. It's always a group chat, and then I'll tell students if they want to talk more intimately, just go to the mail page and open an individual chat with me. So I'm thinking about using WebEx when I teach English 211 in this summer and flip my classroom.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and so I'm going to put most of my lessons in a video format and say, watch this for homework, and then come in ready to write.
Great.
And talk about your writing and group work and stuff like that. So, but I do always offer office hours outside of that. I'm probably going to have virtual office hours this summer. So my question is, in WebEx, using that for office hours, maybe in my own personal faculty account, I can do the chat inside of there with as many or a few students as I want to.
Yes, yeah, there is a chat feature inside of WebEx as well that either you
It's like
can
a group chat.
You can chat to all, or you can select
to
and
which
chat to
one?
one individuals.
Right.
Yeah, it has both of those options. And actually, with the virtual office hours, WebEx just recently released a new feature called your personal room.
Mhm.
And what that was, in the past, every time you created a WebEx, it created a unique link, right? So you have to have this link and pass it out to everybody. Now every account has a link that's the same all the time. And it's basically, it's odu.webex.com/ and I think you do either meet or join, but meet / and then your Midas ID. And that's always your room. So if you're connected into that room, anyone who wants to come in will come in, and you can let them join you and talk.
So like
Right.
maybe on my Blackboard, I can link the place that I have for my virtual
Yep.
classroom and another one for that special meeting room.
You could have your office
different.
hours, right? Put that link in there, and as long as you log in between those hours, people can join you in. Now, you can also at that time say the room's locked because you're already talking with somebody else. Someone's already come into
Right.
your office, and it will let other people know that you're busy right this minute, so then they can try back. But now again, like I said, it's something you can put on a syllabus or on Blackboard that doesn't change on a regular basis anymore.
Right, and
Which will be helpful.
my course is in session 2. Session 2 for the summer.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, I am taking this online class that starts next week for e-learning and teaching online. And I don't know how much of that information is going to be covered before I start session 2, but could I set up are we able to set up one-on-one sessions, to get more familiar with WebEx and stuff
Yes.
so that I'm ready?
Yeah, when we're done,
for session?
yep, I think I got my cards with you. I'll give you my card for sure, please.
Awesome.
And if I could jump on there, you mentioned the flipped classroom. And
Yeah.
one of the neat things about WebEx is we're starting to see faculty use WebEx in the classroom without having students participate distance. Have everyone that has a tablet or whatnot log in, and then you can easily, what they call pass the ball, be able to present. And from their table, a student could present and share what they're doing on their tablet or computer within the classroom. And we're starting to see that pick up popularity. And so it's a true flip your classroom where you could say, okay, Susie, show us what you have. And right there on the WebEx link, they can go up to the projector system.
Yeah, that's a really interesting phenomenon that we're seeing in the distance learning side as well. So the students who are already in the room with the instructor are still logging on to the WebEx session, so they can use the chat feature to talk to each other as well. And that's another way of supporting the group breakout sessions, because most every student has some sort of device that can jump into a WebEx session. They're harnessing that feature as well. So that's a positive unintended consequence of WebEx. Okay.
Hi, Vukitsa Ivanovic from Engineering Technology again. And I've been using Adobe Connect a lot, and I've been using that share screen kind of option and chat and saving notes and all that thing. But I didn't use WebEx so much other than teaching my distance learning course. So can you tell me what are the main differences in between WebEx or Adobe Connect? Are they very similar, or are they, is there something special about one or the other? Which one would you prefer, or there's no recipe?
No, great.
Which one is better?
Great question. So the difference between Connect and WebEx, we get that a lot, and it is really almost personal preference. So if you like the features in WebEx, feel free to stick with the WebEx, or if you like the features in Connect. From the technology perspective, the way you could lay out the pods in Connect is different. So you could resize things and put the chat on the lower left or the upper right, or however you'd like to lay out the pods. So that feature is different. WebEx has the telephone integration, so that's a bit of a difference. And the way they manage bandwidth is a little different in that in Adobe Connect will try to send you as many thumbnails as it can, video thumbnails, and that soaks up processor resources on whatever the device is, where WebEx sends you the most recent 6 thumbnails. And so that's how they're trying to manage the bandwidth fluctuations. So WebEx can get a little bit more user-friendly from that bandwidth perspective.
Yeah, and like Miguel said, they really are fairly similar, with just some different capabilities. You almost have to try it. One of the things right now with what ODU does between WebEx and Connect is, like I said, the fact that all faculty, staff, and students have access to it. Is one of the, I think, one of the big differences, and it's a hosted service. So, like Dwayne mentioned, I don't know if anybody would do it, but we get up to 1,000 people. So, it's a larger right now system that we have for some of those purposes, and a little bit more open access.
And if we create the WebEx virtual room, will we get the phone dial-in number as well at the same time?
So, with the WebEx, if you use the regular phone audio, that is an additional feature on campus. You have to sign up for that because there is some cost for that. It's like using a phone bridge. So there is some cost for that to be able to do that, but it can do both the PC audio and the phone audio at the same time.
Yeah, in distance learning with our WebEx accounts, we keep it on by default, so that again, if students have any internet connection issues, they can jump on the phone line.
And if I could add in there, with the students having their own WebEx accounts, we're seeing even over at the library at the Learning Commons, they can interact with each other studying. So they can log in, host their own meeting, bring in their study group, and utilize that resource without involving the faculty member or a staff member. They have that at their disposal right now.
I know at least in industry, what we see, WebEx is more popular. So that's why I think it's really nice that our students have access now to that too.
Yeah, and every student, and the students have the 1,000 accounts, so they can bring 1,000 of their best friends in too.
I did that kind of thing with my mom. I was using Connect to show her some pictures.
Great.
I mean,
Yeah.
international students. I understand that.
Dwayne, I'm glad you mentioned that as we wrap up here our time, and I started doing some reading on this. Web conferencing is a 21st century workplace skill. So we're not only giving our student cognitive, but we're also they're leaving us, those that are using web conferencing in a course, they are taking a 21st century workplace skill with them as a part of their resume, or when they're in an interview. Oh yes, I've done that. I had classes using web conferencing. So, thank you for your work in doing and bringing web conferencing to Old Dominion. And does anyone else have a final item? Because we have run out of time.
And if you like to see WebEx, Kaltura, all the stuff we're talking about, even Box, we didn't even talk about Box today, right over there on the other side, we'll show it to you.
And I think you still have brownies and cookies. Cookies are tomorrow, I
Yep.
understand.
I think so.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that idea of flipping the class because one of the questions on here is, how are you going to use this information? So with my summer class, I said I was going to use WebEx or video to tape the content
Yes.
so that we could do hands-on things. And I've taught summer classes before, and I know how this goes. There are going to be students who come in who haven't watched the content. And so, if they have devices and things like that, and I usually bring in extra laptops and stuff, they'll have to spend part of their would-be hands-on writing time watching that content in order to catch up and do the hands-on writing part. So it's like, it's the best
Sure.
of both. It's flipped, but then they can still catch up.
And
with
there's
stuff
some
as it's
reports
video.
you can do. If you use Blackboard and Kaltura, we have that built in. As you as the faculty can go in and see if the students have watched the video. So you actually can look in and say, hey, Susie, come on, you're not watching the video. You can do all of that stuff. But yeah, I'll be more than happy to meet with you after this, and we can talk in more detail. We'll be right out there in that back room, and we have a full hands-on display.
Thank you very much. If you want to turn your evaluations in and your tear-offs, because we will have the drawing later on at the end of the day. And so I want to thank our panel for leading us through the discussion. And go play in the playroom. We have
Please
a
do.
15-minute break, right? Do we have a break at this time? Time to go play.